I just wanted to go live today to just kind of explain. Yesterday was election day here in the United States. We don't have a definite answer yet. Um, there's a chance we won't have a definite answer for a few days. However, we may have an answer maybe by tomorrow. Um, and so I just wanted to take any questions that you guys might have about like what it looks like, what it's looking like right now, or I can just kind of explain, what it's looking like right now. But yesterday was yesterday was probably one of the most anxious days that I've had, like as far as politics goes in my life. Like if anybody had a session with me yesterday, I apologized all day because I was completely distracted by the election. And then last night, we stayed up, started watching some of the results come in. We did not, my wife and I actually, we fell asleep. We actually fell asleep on the love seat, waiting for the returns. Last night when I went to bed, um, the numbers were looking pretty good for Donald Trump to win re-election. And then when I woke up this morning, there had been a shift in the numbers, um, and a lot of that is really based on like how our system works. In the United States, we do not have a popular vote election, meaning where we take votes across the nation, we add those up, and then as a whole nation, whoever has the most votes wins. Hey, kitty cat. We don't, yeah, we don't do that here. Instead, we have what's called an electoral college, and it gets a little bit confusing at that point. And that's kind of one of the things that we're waiting for right now. In the United States, and I'm going to talk about Michigan because that's where I live, just to kind of explain how the Electoral College works here locally. Each state has, well, let me back up. Our The legislative branch of our government. Oh, hold on, my daughter's on Instagram while she's in algebra. Catherine, focus on your algebra. Thank you. Get off Instagram, honey. You're at school right now. Okay. Anyways, in the United States, we have three branches of government. We have the executive branch, which is like the president and his team, his staff. We also have a judicial branch, which would be our Supreme Court, and we have a legislative branch, which is made up of the House of Representatives and our Senate. Now, in our form of government, each of them have equal powers, different powers, but equal powers. And the House of Representatives, which is one of the two entities that make up our legislative branch, you've been following? Cool, on BBC? Yeah, I'd love to hear what they're saying. But in Michigan, for example, we have two senators, okay, that represent Michigan in the Senate. Every state has two senators, so it doesn't matter. Michigan has two senators, Wisconsin has two senators, Hawaii has two senators, like every state has two senators. And then as far as our representatives in the House of Representatives goes, that number depends on the population of the state. So California, for example, has the largest population of all of the states. So they have two senators plus 53 House of Representative members. Now in Michigan, we have two senators plus 14 House of Representative senators. So here, 14 plus 2, that equals 16. Michigan then has 16 electoral votes when it comes time to determining an election for president. Okay? So again, like I said, it's not about who wins the national popular vote. The goal to win president means that you add up enough electoral votes to reach the number 270. So that's what's going on today. So if you look at a map, you're going to see, like, I think currently right now, like, Joe Biden is sitting around 230 something electoral votes. Currently, Donald Trump is at, I think, like 213 electoral votes. That's as of the moment that I'm filming this. So they're both aiming for 270. Okay, so last night, neither one of them reached that magic number of 270. And the reason for that is states are still counting ballots. Now, what made this year unique is that because of the pandemic, there was, let me pause it. I heard some issues with the vote count in Michigan. I haven't heard of any issues with the vote count in Michigan. That one, it kind of depends on who you talk to. But let me use this as an example, Jan, to kind of explain where some of that is coming. Hey, man, what's going on? What's happening in Michigan is, according to the Michigan election laws and the election rules, any ballots that were sent by mail or were hand delivered early, which is what me and my wife did about 3 weeks ago. We filled out our ballot. We drove it to the location where we vote, and we put it in a box. And then we were able to track our ballot online to make sure that it was received and that it was counted. So I live in a small area, okay? So because I live in a small area, meaning a low population area, it was much easier for the people that count our votes to process the early votes that were cast on the same day that the people actually came in yesterday to vote, okay? There were something like 750-ish total votes cast in my voting area. Not a huge amount of votes. So they were able to process all of that yesterday. But what happens is when you get into an area like over near Detroit, where the population is, millions of people, what they did is they collected all of those early ballots, anything that they received up until 8 o'clock last night, and they set those ballots aside, because we're talking hundreds of thousands of ballots that will need to be processed on the same day that people are showing up to vote in person, okay? So what those areas in Detroit did was they set aside all of the early ballots, and they set those aside until early this morning, and then they just handled the walk-in voters yesterday. So at the end of yesterday's walk-in voting that took place, a lot of Donald Trump supporters, showed up to vote in person. So they counted all of those ballots, and they released those numbers. At that point in Michigan, that put Donald Trump ahead. This morning, what happened is they then went back to all of those early ballots that were found, or that were handed in, and they started counting them this morning. Now, the early votes that were cast over the last month, by a tune of about 60 to 70%, 60 to 70% of those votes were in favor of Joe Biden. So the lead that Donald Trump had last night started to get chipped away at this morning. And so that's why I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning last night. He went on television and basically declared that he had won the election and they needed to stop counting the votes. Okay. It's a, if I'm ahead, I guess I would want the votes to stop being counted too, especially those early ballots that were handed in. So what you're seeing right now, if you watch the numbers, if you just check Michigan, if you check Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, it's probably going to take a few days. Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, there are millions of ballots which are being counted right now. Now, all of those ballots are legitimate because they were received by that state's deadline. But, as I mentioned before, most of the early ballots, most of the mail-in ballots, are the ones that were dropped off, like what I did, especially in the higher population areas, those are being counted last. So any lead that Donald Trump may have had last night at 2 o'clock in the morning that's what we're seeing today. It's getting chipped away at and chipped away at and chipped away at. And so I'm predicting that by the end of today, possibly early tomorrow morning, we should know which way Michigan's going to go. Michigan in 2016 was won by Donald Trump. Hey, Susanna. Was won by Donald Trump by about 11,000 votes. Hey, Andre. Donald Trump won Michigan by about 10 to 11,000 votes. Currently, just a couple hours ago, they started handing in some of the information about those early ballots that were cast. And at that time, Joe Biden had about a 10,000 vote lead as of this morning. And then a couple hours ago, they released another set of counted ballots that they had. And that added to his lead by about 20,000. So what we're seeing in Michigan is this shift from Donald Trump winning by about 10,000 votes in Michigan in 2016. Now Joe Biden is ahead by about 32,000 votes in Michigan, now that they're counting these early ballots. And so that's a 40,000 vote shift. If that gives you an indication of like what it feels like just in Michigan right now, that's what's happening. So according to the models that I'm looking at, Donald Trump, if he's going to remain president, is going to have to win Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. Joe Biden does not need to win Pennsylvania if he wins Wisconsin, Michigan, and at least one of those southern states. Probably it's looking like he's going to win Arizona for sure. Biden will win Arizona for sure. He's probably going to win, hey Mia, he's probably also going to win Nevada. He's probably going to win Wisconsin. He's probably going to win Michigan, which means Pennsylvania won't matter at all. And Joe Biden should be at 270 in just a matter of a day, 24 hours, something like that. So anyways, for those of you just joining late, I basically just did my best to explain what the Electoral College looks like and how voting is happening here in the United States without the use of any fancy graphics or anything. So does anybody have any questions? I know the Electoral College can be a bit confusing. It's a little bit easier when I have my computer in front of me and I can share my screen and show you like on an interactive map. But if you're interested, send me a message. I can send you a link to one of those interactive maps and you can play with it if you want. If you nerd out about that kind of stuff, maybe you don't care. But anyways, I do nerd out about that kind of stuff, so it's kind of fun. But any questions from anybody or any comments or any thoughts? I'll give you a second to think about that. Yeah, as I mentioned at the beginning, yesterday was a very anxiety filled day. It was kind of exciting at the same time. You're just kind of wanting to get this fight going. This morning is actually really quiet. It's really peaceful. It feels good. It feels good. Oh, who is leading in Michigan at the moment? You're welcome, Andre. Thank you. Who's leading Michigan at the moment? Joe Biden is ahead by approximately 32,000 votes. Approximately 32,000 votes. Liberty, Michigan. That Liberate Michigan thing from earlier this year. Yeah, Alex, that happened. That was awful. Really, what I'm hoping for, and hopefully I'm not naive in this, is that once this election's over, we can kind of add just like things just won't be so tense, in the United States as it has been the last 4 years. I did ask last night, the president, when he kind of prematurely declared victory, he said that the world is laughing at the United States because we didn't declare a winner last night. I think I disagreed with him on that because of conversations that I've had with many of you. Some of my friends, some of you on here, are from Belarus, watching what you guys went through this summer, where it just appeared that your election was stolen from you. Who did I vote for? No, come on, that's personal. That's personal. I think if you know me, you know who I voted for. But yeah, dude, come on. Okay, I voted for Biden. Okay, there, I shared. Hey, Mary. Mary in Belarus. My inspiration for the year. Yeah, he said the world is laughing at the United States because we didn't declare a winner last year, or last night. That hasn't been my experience, getting to know so many of you this year. It seems to me like what the world really wants to see is, can America hold an election where every legitimate vote is counted and every person's voice is heard? The word vote, I don't remember if it's Latin. It's one of those, ancient languages. But the word vote comes from a word that means voice, and so when we have elections, it's about every voice being heard. And I hope that the example that the United States can demonstrate with this election is that it is possible to have a democracy where every vote matters, every person's voice is heard, and then at the end of that, we continue forward. Not perfect, the United States is not perfect, we know that, but we are definitely better than what we've been demonstrating. So anyways, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. I think I just wanted to do an update, touch base with you guys, because you guys mean so much to me. But that's how it's looking here. I'll just continue to post little updates as I get information. I know for a lot of you it'll be bedtime coming up here in the next few hours, so maybe you won't find out in the morning. But if you have any questions, feel free. I'm available. Shoot me a message, a DM, and I will definitely give you at least my perspective and my observations. But yeah, so yes, friends, peace and love from the United States. It's the day after Election Day, but things are going smooth. No matter who wins, man, the most important thing is that all votes count, and yeah, we can demonstrate what democracy should look like. So peace. I'm doing a Michigan goodbye. Okay, we have this thing in Michigan. It's called a Michigan goodbye. It's when we say, okay, I'm leaving now, and then we end up talking for like an extra 10 minutes. That's what I'm doing right now. This is the Michigan goodbye. So I'm going to stop doing that, and I'm just going to check out. Thank you, Mary. You inspire. Everybody, thank you. Peace out. Talk to me.